Most people think budgeting means giving up everything fun. No coffee, no eating out, no vacations, no happiness. And honestly, that's why most budgets fail. Because people treat budgeting like punishment. But the budget that changed my life was completely different. It didn't make me feel trapped. It didn't make me feel poor. It simply made me aware. And that awareness changed everything. A few years ago, I used to wonder the same thing every month. Where did all my money go? I wasn't buying luxury cars, I wasn't flying private jets, I wasn't shopping every day, but somehow my bank account kept hitting zero before the end of the month. And the weirdest part, I had a decent income. That's when I realized something important. Most people don't become broke because of one big purchase. They become broke because of hundreds of small invisible decisions. $10 here, $20 there, subscriptions you forgot about, food deliveries, impulse shopping, random online purchases. Individually, they feel harmless. Together, they quietly destroy your finances. And once I understood that, I stopped trying to make more money first. Instead, I focused on controlling the money I already had. That's when I discovered a budgeting system so simple, it actually worked. Not for 1 week, not for 1 month, for years. Here's the system. Every dollar I earned had a job. That's it. Simple. Before I spent money, I decided where it would go. Not after. Before. Because most people spend first and think later. That's backwards. Imagine your income is like water entering a house. If you don't control where it flows, it leaks everywhere. Budgeting is simply giving direction to your money. So, I divided my income into just 4 categories: needs, future, freedom, fun. That's it. No complicated spreadsheets, no financial jargon, no exhausting tracking apps. Just 4 simple buckets. The first bucket was needs. This covered rent, groceries, bills, transportation, insurance, the essentials, things that genuinely supported my life. And here's where most people make their first mistake. They confuse needs with wants. A phone, need. The newest phone every year, want. Food, need. Ordering expensive delivery every night, want. Transportation, need. A luxury car you can barely afford, probably not. Learning the difference between needs and wants is one of the most powerful financial skills you can develop, because companies spend billions convincing you that every want is secretly a need, and most people fall for it. The second bucket was future. This changed everything for me, because before this, I only saved if there was money left. There was never money left. So instead, I started paying myself first. The moment money entered my account, a percentage automatically moved into savings and investments. Before spending, before shopping, before entertainment. That one habit completely changed my relationship with money, because saving stopped being optional. It became automatic, and automation is powerful. Humans are emotional. Systems are reliable. If you rely on motivation to save money, you'll probably fail. But if your system saves automatically, you remove emotion from the process, and over time, small amounts become large amounts. That's the magic most people underestimate. We live in a world obsessed with quick money, but wealth is usually built slowly, through consistency, not intensity. The third bucket was freedom. And this category surprised me the most. Freedom money wasn't for survival, it was for opportunity, emergency funds, investments, learning new skills, starting projects. This was the money that created options, and options are powerful because when you have no financial cushion, every decision becomes emotional. You stay in jobs you hate, you tolerate toxic situations, you panic during emergencies, not because you're weak, because you have no margin. Money alone doesn't create freedom. Margin creates freedom. Even a small emergency fund changes how you think. You sleep differently, you negotiate differently, you make decisions differently because desperation disappears. And finally, there was fun. This is the part most budgets completely ignore, and that's why people quit them. Humans are not robots. If your financial plan removes all joy from your life, you won't stick to it. So I intentionally included guilt-free spending, entertainment, eating out, travel, hobbies, and something strange happened. When I gave myself permission to spend a certain amount, I actually spent less emotionally, because the spending became intentional instead of impulsive. That's the real goal of budgeting, not restriction, intention. Most people think budgeting is about saying no, but great budgeting is actually about saying yes, but consciously. And once I started using this system, my entire financial life changed, not overnight, but steadily. I stopped feeling anxious every time I checked my bank account. I stopped wondering where my money disappeared. I stopped living in financial confusion. And for the first time, I felt in control. That feeling is hard to describe because financial stress affects everything: your sleep, your confidence, your relationships, your mental health. Money problems rarely stay only about money, they spread into every part of life. And that's why learning to manage money is one of the highest return skills you can develop, not because money buys happiness, but because financial stability reduces unnecessary suffering. Now, here's something important: a budget will never make you rich by itself, but it creates the foundation for wealth. Because investing without budgeting is like building a house on sand. You need structure first, and the beautiful thing is, you don't need to earn six figures to start budgeting. You don't need a finance degree. You don't need expensive software. You just need awareness. That's where everything begins. Most people avoid looking at their finances because it feels uncomfortable, but ignoring money problems never solves them. Awareness creates change, and once you start paying attention, you start noticing patterns. You notice emotional spending, you notice habits, you notice waste, you notice triggers, and slowly, your behavior changes, not because someone forced you, because you finally see clearly. That's what happened to me. My budget didn't change my life because it made me richer overnight. It changed my life because it gave me clarity, and clarity changes decisions. Small decisions repeated consistently become massive outcomes over time. That's true for health, that's true for relationships, and it's definitely true for money. One of the biggest mistakes people make with budgeting is assuming that once they create a budget, everything magically becomes easy. It doesn't. In the beginning, budgeting feels uncomfortable because for the first time, you're forced to confront your habits honestly. You start noticing how often boredom turns into spending, how stress turns into online shopping, how social pressure makes you buy things you never even wanted, and that realization can be painful, but it's also powerful because you cannot improve what you refuse to acknowledge. Most people live financially on autopilot: wake up, work, spend, repeat, without ever asking, is this actually improving my life? That question changed everything for me because I realized something shocking. A lot of my spending wasn't making me happier, it was just keeping me distracted. Temporary dopamine, temporary comfort, temporary excitement. But temporary emotions often create long-term financial problems, and modern companies understand this perfectly. That's why apps are designed to keep you spending. That's why sales create urgency. That's why buy now, pay later became so popular. The system profits when people stay impulsive. That's why budgeting today is more than a financial skill. It's a form of self-control. And honestly, once I understood that, I stopped seeing budgeting as something restrictive. I started seeing it as protection: protection from impulse, protection from stress, protection from financial chaos. Another thing that changed my life was tracking small wins. Most people quit financial goals because progress feels invisible. Saving your first $100 doesn't feel life-changing. Neither does your first 1,000, but confidence grows through evidence, and every small financial win becomes proof that you're changing. That momentum matters more than people realize because personal finance is rarely about intelligence. It's mostly about behavior. Simple behaviors repeated consistently over time. That's why some people earning average salaries quietly become wealthy, while others earning huge incomes still struggle financially. Income matters, but behavior matters more than most people think. And maybe the most important lesson I learned from budgeting was this: money is emotional. People think money problems are math problems. Usually, they're behavior problems: fear, stress, ego, comparison, impulse, lifestyle pressure. Those emotions shape financial decisions every single day. That's why real financial growth isn't just about numbers, it's about becoming more intentional with your life. And once you learn that skill, everything changes. If you enjoyed this video and want more simple finance explainers that actually make sense, subscribe to Clever Finance.